What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Force Strategy Gaming. Got a StarCraft 2 commentary for you today. This matchup is going to be between EG's IdrA and LoWClouD. So we can see right now IdrA spawning in the bottom right position here as our green Zerg player, and in the upper right we do have LoWClouD as a blue Protoss player. Now this is going to be on LoWClouD altar. This is just going to be a single game, not a series or anything like that. Just found the single game replay and I figured I would bring it to you guys. I know lots of you out there love to watch IdrA play, and if you haven't heard or seen LoWClouD before, I'm certain you're going to be in for a treat. He's a pretty solid player. I've seen a few of his replays and I've been relatively impressed with what I've seen from him thus far. So let's go ahead and get right into things now. We can see LoWClouD not going to be going straight for that wall off or anything like that. He's actually just putting that first depot over there. Obviously the big advantage to that is you spend less time not mining. If you had to run his guy from the mineral patch all the way across over here, that's a lot more time not mining, and with this he can get straight back to resource gathering, or you can just go straight into putting that second racks down. But a lot more time mining means an extra 5 or 10 minerals, however many return trips you would have lost in the resulting pathing over to the front of the wall. Now obviously with that open wall, you'd be more vulnerable to things like a 6 racks or something, but very, very unlikely that IdrA would be 6-raxing on LoWClouD altar. It is a giant map. Any sort of early aggressive, super aggressive Zergling push like that's not very effective, and just in general you don't see that often from professional players. On these larger maps, a lot of times you're going to see some type of quick expand build. We can see IdrA moving on and actually dropping down that 14 hatchery and then going into extractor pool or pool extractor. But this is much more common, especially professional level play on the larger maps. You tend to see macro focus, quick expand type builds, getting up that strong economy and then being able to work from there. We can see right now LoWClouD does have the refinery up and running right now, and that Rax is just about to finish. We'll be seeing if he drops a tech lab right away. No, actually going straight for that first Marine, and then he will be pulling out with that SCV and moving out for some scouting. We do have IdrA's Overlord making its way on towards LoWClouD's base, and he will be spotting that in just one moment. Now obviously LoWClouD does want that wall off at some point, so we can see there with his second depot going to be going down to form that wall. Again, this isn't his initial focus. He can try to stay close to his mineral line, but eventually having that wall off to prevent mid and late game Zerglings from being able to tear up your base is certainly very, very important. So we can see right now SCV Scout moving out, and he's actually spotting IdrA right now. He has spotted the expansion. We do have that first Marine coming on through as well. That should be heading down. There we go, rerouting his way over on into IdrA's base. We can see scouting out. The pool has yet to pop that extractor a little bit later as well. Obviously not going to be able to get metabolic boost right away. Had he gone extractor first, that's basically how that would work out, but obviously he did not do that. We've got the SCV pulling on back, and where is that Marine? Looks like he actually headed back home, deciding not to go down and engage. He decided not to be aggressive essentially in spotting that pool timing. He realized, by the time I get there, there'll be a couple Zerglings and this push won't be quite as effective. So LoWClouD is back home, working up to what looks to be a Hellion opening, and actually going to be moving into an expansion as well. A pretty popular tactic, opening up with Hellions for a bit of map control, and then allowing you to get up that expansion. And obviously LoWClouD again has seen that 14 hatch from IdrA and the subsequent pool and extractor afterwards. We've got those first two Zerglings heading on out right now. IdrA does know precisely where LoWClouD is, so he's going to be heading out to the front of the base. Wouldn't be all that surprised if one reroutes eventually and goes down to grab a tower, but first going to be scouting out and checking to see, hey, is there a quick expand up? What exactly is going on? So he's going to be moving to the front of the base. He does see that second depot going down. He needs to stay away from those Marines. I'd have no problem doing that. The Zerglings actually won't be likely to escape the base with these two Marines in pursuit, but still, he is getting out to scouting. He's checking, hey, how many refineries are there? What do we have for production buildings? He's fully aware of the fact that we've got these double Hellions out right now, so now he knows to be able to properly deal with that. He's going to probably make sure he gets a spine crawler. There we go. He's got one. In fact, just dropped a second one in response to seeing those Hellions come out. We have a bunker coming on through, so that LoWClouD may try to protect himself at his expansion. Switching things up over here, we can see this Rax coming down with the tech lab on that. I'm actually going to expect another Rax to be built right there, and so that he can be pumping out those double Marines. But here we go, his first two Hellions heading on down. Going to be walking right into a spine crawler, taking one shot, two shot, and then, oh my gosh, the other Hellion taking a shot there as well. There's a little bit of miss micro, and very unfortunate situation for LoWClouD. Did absolutely no damage and took quite a bit of damage to those Hellions, and especially if he decides to repair those, he will be taking a loss as a result, because repairing does cost resources. Bunker is up. expansion should be coming down in one moment. We do have that orbital command coming on through. There's the reactor as expected there on that barracks, and a tech lab here in the factory. So going to be going Marine tank, and again, that is fully expected. We've got the starport. They're going to be working his way up into medevacs as well, and there's a second Rax, and I'm probably going to expect a third Rax at some point, basically once he gets his orbital command saturated. Probably not right away, because his resources are going to be spread pretty thin among these 4 production buildings for a little while, but once he gets some nice saturation on there, his income rate will be higher, and he'll be able to work into additional production buildings. Now back over here for IdrA, we've got a Baneling Nest as well as an Evolution Chamber coming out. Obviously, this helps greatly deal with any Hellion harass from the front, trying to funnel them right down the center, to which his Queen and Zerglings can respond. Another Extractor coming on down in this expansion. Looks like he will be sitting on the 4. He's got the layer coming on through. A Metabolic Boost is clearly finished right now, and with that layer, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some centrifugal hooks here for these Banelings. So IdrA just working his way up, macroing up into the mid-game transition there. Going to expect Spieling Baneling Muta. It's what I've seen him do pretty much exclusively for quite some time now in ZVT in the matchup. We have been seeing a lot of Roach Infestor play from Zerg players in general, but the past few games that I've cast from IdrA, that has not been the case. He's been sticking Spieling Baneling Muta in ZVT, obviously something he's comfortable with, and the build clearly works well enough for him. Now Cloud does have a couple tanks in play already, continuing up that tank production. Finally should be getting some upgrades here for these Marines. We'd like to see that Stim Pack and Combat Shield come on through, and there's a Medevac there as well, so going to be allowing him to do some dropping much more effective once Stim Pack is available. So again, hopefully we do see Cloud come out with that soon. And here comes the Engineering Bay, and you can see the timing on this. The Engineering Bay is just about finished as the Spire's coming on through, so this allows him making the Engineering Bay around this mark. We can see we're around 9 minutes in game. With the type of build that IdrA opened up with, it's going to allow him to deal with mutas at the time that they would pop. He'd just come down with a couple turrets, and there you go. He's all set. We've got an Overlord, a Sacrificial Scum moving in, and unbelievably, Cloud's not even bothering with it. He's just going to let it meander right on through. There we go. Marine finally pulling back to deal with that. Really surprised that it took him that long. He's actually coming out with a second factory instead of an additional Rax, so going to be working into a little bit more mech-heavy play, but again, that additional production building once he worked on saturation of that expansion. Back over here, we can see IdrA working his way onto another Expo, and he's actually coming out with what's considered just an additional hatch for larva. That's the entire purpose of this right here. Couple of Banelings situated over here. There's those centrifugal hooks. We do have the Spire up. Going to be researching the Flyer attack level 1. Do we have any mutas in play yet? No, we do not. But we do have 2 in production, and he's actually churning that out right now, working his way up to 6. Initially, you usually see between 6 and 8 for that kind of initial wave of mutas, and there's actually making his way back up to 8. And this is going to allow him to start a little bit of harass and do a little bit of damage. But at the exact same time, we do have Cloud pushing out and getting ready to be a little aggressive, setting up tanks on the low ground, dropping on the high ground. Now, what IdrA is going to want to do is once he gets his mutas, try to get these tanks while they're vulnerable in the back, but unfortunately IdrA's not going to be able to mine from this base for a little while now, and tanks actually within range of that hatchery. That's a little dangerous. Speedlings and Banelings trying to roll back, but that siege line is very, very strong, so he's having a difficult time of actually engaging that. Muta's going to have a hard time getting on those tanks with those Marines in the front. He's got to pick them off one at a time from the side, and there we go. Trying to move down to the side, but unfortunately the Marine fire, very nice buffer there by Cloud, and IdrA's going to be losing this expansion. This is very unfortunate right now. He just does not have enough to overwhelm what Cloud is hitting him with at the moment. We have Stim Pack just about finished. Also coming out with this Infernal Pre-Nerd Hellion, so we'll be following this up with a Blue Flame attack. And IdrA trying to mount up his forces and get ready for an engagement. Muta's doing what they can to engage those stray Marines and actually taking a few free shots at that Medevac as well. Very, very close to getting. You got to move on in and get the final snipe. Yes, he does. Medevac is down, so it's going to stop him from being able to... Oh, no, we've got another Medevac back here, but the Marines are finally mopped up from the Mutas, and IdrA now going to be able to take care of the tanks. And what is Cloud doing? I have no idea. Is he dealing with harass? No, he is not. He's just throwing away his units. He let them sit idly there as he got overwhelmed by those mutas. I'm not sure if he was distracted elsewhere. We do have some forces down here, so I'm assuming that those were dealing with some sort of a counterattack or something. But unfortunately, Cloud losing all of his tanks, and he lost his Hellions and Medevac as well. Those tanks were obviously dead in the water, but he could have pulled away with those Hellions right away upon spotting the fact that he was getting overwhelmed. But again, clearly he was distracted. Can see Cloud getting ready to move up into a third expansion, and I do want to take a look at the unit loss tab. It looks like, yeah, Cloud is quite a bit behind, so IdrA's going to be moving forward and getting ready to capitalize on this advantage that he has right now. Try to do a little bit of damage as expected. Those there are the turrets. Get that free SCV kill. Try to do a little bit. We've got Stim Marines that will push back that amount of mutas right now, but at the moment, IdrA is sitting in a nice position. Hopefully for him, he does spot that this expansion is coming through. Oh my gosh, this could not be more perfect for IdrA. Moving across with that Overlord, he will be fully aware of this expansion. I would expect him to hit that with some Speedlings and possibly the Mutas as well. All he really needs is the Speedlings to move right on over there, and he's going to be all set. We've got a couple scouting Speedlings, in fact, moving over here, and going to be spotting the SCV transfer as well, and there we go. Oh my gosh. So again, IdrA fully aware of what's going on right now and stopping right below, delaying this drop now. He's going to be able to overwhelm it right here with these Hellions, and he's got some forces moving down as well. But at the same time, his main is very vulnerable, and there we go. IdrA's going to be taking advantage of that, dropping the tech lab that was attached to the factory. Going to be taking out the factory as well. Cloud is in a terrible position right now. His main is completely vulnerable. Now he's going to be moving out for a counterattack. We've got a couple Speedlings, Banelings over here getting ready to push on out, but actually those will be heading back home. Mutas heading back home as well. Looks like he has spotted this push that is coming towards his base. That's a lot of Marines and Hellions, a couple tanks set up there in the high ground as well. IdrA needs to take care of this and divert his attention from the main. He's already done quite a bit of damage. Look at that. He's over doubly ahead of where Cloud is right now. In terms of the resources lost, Cloud is incredibly behind. Now we do have IdrA working on that big death cloud of Mutas, trying to get those numbers very high. You can see continue to turn that out. Lots of Speedlings and a few Banelings working out as well. Oh, since Cloud isn't actually pushing, IdrA's feeling comfortable to just move on in here and kill off a million SCVs. Oh my gosh, he just did a lot of damage. But again, with Cloud set up over here, really nothing he can do. And Cloud is having an incredibly difficult time right now dealing with this Muta harass here from IdrA. And I expect IdrA to keep it up because that is the right thing to do. And here we go, moving right back in again. And Cloud not moving his forces. There we go, finally deciding to push out for a counterattack. That's going to be the right decision. He's going to try to take advantage of this, mopping up those tanks while they're on siege, getting a full surround. Oh, see ya later, Marines and tanks and the few Hellions that were in there as well. That's a victory right there for IdrA. Look at the resources lost so far in this game for Cloud, and IdrA not nearly as bad off as Cloud is. So IdRA's just going to move out. I expect him to actually take out this expansion most likely. He could comfortably move up right into the natural, though, given how far behind Cloud is. IdRA's just in a very dominant position, and there we go. Just will be pushing into the main. Death Cloud of Mutas, a few Speedlings to help there as well. And that should be the GG sometime soon from Cloud. There's absolutely nothing that he can do at this point in the game. He's got no sort of counter aggression or anything like that going on. There's far too many Mutas to deal with. Looks like he will be trying to rally up some Marines, but I do expect IdrA to stream in some Speedlings and Banelings as well, and that will help him take care of those, anything that could possibly be threatening. But look at how many Mutas that is. There's absolutely nothing that Cloud could do right now. 32 Mutalist. That is absolutely absurd, and tearing through all the production buildings, and IdrA with the easy win here. Really just outplaying Cloud in this game. Fantastic play. And this just goes to show you how Speedling, Baneling, and Muta is still incredibly effective. Cloud opened up this game going for quick Hellions into expand. However, with a couple of Zerglings, IdrA was able to sneak right into Cloud's main base, scout the fact that this was coming, and prepare properly. Thanks to those scouting Zerglings, IdrA had no problem dealing with the Hellion harass as they came through, and Cloud, with a little bit of mismicro, actually took a bit of extra damage, unfortunately, to his initial Hellions. Cloud worked his way up to a strong Marine, tank, medevac, and Hellion push. He was able to set up tanks in the low ground with vision from the medevac, and dropping Marines on the high ground was able to shell out on this expansion. Although he lost his natural expansion, IdrA was eventually able to overwhelm Cloud's push here with the Mutas that he had gathered up, and then eventually moving on in with those Speedlings as well. Unfortunately for Cloud, not paying enough attention, lost all those tanks, Hellions, and medevac. IdrA worked up his Muta count and was able to push out into quite a bit of damage to Cloud's main base while his force was outside trying to protect his third expansion. Cloud moved out for a counterattack, however, walking right over the creep tumors. IdrA was fully aware of the unsieged tanks, was able to get a full surround with those Speedlings and Banelings, and then mop up with the Mutas. Big loss right there for Cloud. With a clear advantage, IdrA just pushed out for the final blow with that big death ball of Mutas. There's absolutely nothing at this point in the game that Cloud could do. He just did not have enough Marines to possibly deal with this. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you have enjoyed this game here between Cloud and IdrA. Was fairly one-sided in all honesty. Besides losing the expansion, IdrA just completely dominated this game. So thanks again for watching, guys. As always, if you like the content, please subscribe. Keep watching and keep owning.